this is Hedda. Welcome back to my channel. This is my last video of the year, and today I want to share my November spreads in my reading journal with you. This video was a little bit delayed because I wanted to prioritize my 2024 journal setup, so I hope that you guys have enjoyed those a lot. But today let's take a step back and look at the books that I read in November and the spreads that I made in my reading journal for them, because I am not quite done with this year yet. This video is kindly sponsored by Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning platform with thousands of classes on any creative skill you could possibly imagine. They have classes on anything from graphic design and animation to creative writing and photography, and even a whole category dedicated to productivity and lifestyle. At the beginning of a new year, many of us have grand plans about how the new year will look for us, and maybe taking a few Skillshare classes is exactly what you need to stick to your resolutions or develop some helpful skills in the new year. A class that I'm currently in the middle of is a class on productivity and habits. It's by Thomas Frank, and it's called Real Productivity: How to Build Habits That Last. It's all about setting reasonable goals, how to handle failure and not give up, and of course, how to stick to habits. If you want to check out Skillshare for yourself, you can click the link in the description box and get a 1-month free trial. The first 500 people to click the link in the description box will be able to use this offer. Let's all go into the new year with an open mind and a determination to improve our skills. Thank you to Skillshare for sponsoring this video. And now let's go back to November and look at the spreads that I made in my reading journal. I did recently set up my 2024 reading journal, and I made a whole video about that, but this is my 2023 journal, so I'm sticking with this one for a little bit longer. I'm making spreads for November and also for December, so you won't really see my 2024 journal again until, I guess, early February. In November, I read 3 books, and I decided to use these pretty green frames that I got from Journalsay. They are perforated, so you can kind of just rip them apart, but I decided to use my scissors to cut a little bit closer to the actual frame. This way I feel like I can decorate the background a little bit more, and they also won't be as rough around the edges, if that makes sense. These 3 frames are all different. They have a slightly different shape, a little bit different stuff going on them, and they have some lines to write on, so I'm just using those as a guide. And in case this is your first reading journal video for me, this is going to be my cover page. This is where I kind of collect the books that I read throughout the month of November, and then the following spreads after this is going to be dedicated spreads to each book where I write about how I felt about that book. So this is going to be the cover page. I wanted to use these wintry stickers from Isobova or Stickers Vanilka, and I also knew I wanted to use these oval frames from Lila Journals. I've been itching to use these. I really love the frame stickers from Lila Journals, so this was just perfect. To fill the frame, I decided to use some of this washi paper that is from Paper Monogatari. I actually managed to stick the frame on a little bit crooked, but it is a sticker, and when you stick something to washi paper, it's just not gonna come off. So I just embraced it. I always remember that there are no mistakes, only happy accidents, you know? So I'm going to have kind of the main cover on the left side, and then I'm going to have the frames with the books I read on the right side. This has kind of become just the general thing that I do in my reading journal, and it works out really well. There are, of course, many ways to make cover pages in reading journals. I see a lot of different ones on YouTube and on Instagram. In my Patreon, we have our own reading journal chat where everyone can post pictures of their own reading journals. And some people like to focus more on statistics, so they will have more statistics on their cover page. Some people make cover pages per like 10 books that they've read rather than every month, so it really just depends on what you like to do. For me, it works really well to do it monthly. It creates the structure that I kind of need to keep up with my reading journal, so for me this works really well. Now you may notice that I actually placed a December sticker rather than a November sticker, and I didn't notice at first because it was already December when I filmed this, and so I was like, yeah, December. But I realized after I had placed a few more stickers, like I was working on the spread, and suddenly I was like, hang on a second. This is not for December. I think these kind of wintry stickers also tricked my brain a little bit because it just really felt like December. So eventually I do peel off the December sticker and replace it with a November sticker. And these monthly stickers are actually from my own sticker shop, ikigaipapier.com. I have a few sticker sheets with monthly headers in a few different colors and different fonts. So yeah, definitely check that out if you're interested. For me, it's really convenient to bring out these monthly header stickers, especially on spreads like this, where it kind of looks nicer to have that white border kind of around the sticker because the background is quite busy. Yep, here I finally realized that it was indeed November, not December. So here I put down the November sticker. I also used some snowflake stickers. Some of these are from Isobova or Stickers Vanilka, and some of them are from Paper Monogatari from her winter collection last year. I still have a few stickers left from that. I've kind of placed the leftover stickers in some of my sticker release paper books or sticker books so that I can just keep them all together instead of having a few on different sheets. I struggled a little bit with the layout of the right page here. I used some of the same paper as I used on the left side, and I wanted to use a few washi tapes and a few stickers. I think that I managed to put together something that looks quite nice, and I also used some of the girl stickers with the pink hair and some more like snowy, wintry stickers. And I think the end result turned out quite nice. I mean, green is definitely a winter color, even though most people think of like white and blue and like cold colors like that. I feel like green is definitely a winter color, especially if you live somewhere that has a lot of pine trees. Then, you know, winter is all pine trees because there are no leaves. So these reading journal headers are also from my own shop. So I used the books read this month stickers for a little title, and these also match the font that I wrote November in, so that worked out quite well. The ribbon stickers are from Lila Journals, and I've had these for quite a while. I think I have like 2 or 3 sheets with them, but I really like them, so I keep using them here and there, and they're just a really nice and dainty detail. And that's it for the cover page, and now we can move on to the books that I read. As you saw from my cover page, I read 3 books in November, and 2 of them are actually going to be on this spread because they were rereads. This fall I have reread quite a few books. It's a little bit weird because it's not something that I've necessarily done a lot the past like 3 or 4 years, rereading books. But this fall especially, that has kind of been a comfort thing to me, rereading books that I know that I like. And you might also remember from earlier this fall that I reread the Akotar books by Sarah J. Maas, A Court of Thorns and Roses, but I listened to the dramatized versions, like the dramatized audiobooks. When I listened to the other books, the last part, like the second part of the 5th book hadn't come out yet, but it came out in October. So I listened to the dramatized version of A Court of Silver Flames in November. So now I have finally listened to all of the dramatized audiobooks of the Akotar series. And this was only the second time that I reread A Court of Silver Flames. I had read the other Akotar books, like the first 3 times now. And this was my second time reading A Court of Silver Flames. And it's still one of my favorites from that series. I just really like it. The first time I read it as well, I saw many things in Nesta that I noticed in myself as well, so I feel this kind of connection to her as a character, I suppose. And it was really fun to listen to the dramatized version of this as well. It comes in 2 parts, so it is a little bit expensive if you buy it on Audible like I did, but I think they might have it on Scribd as well, which would be a lot cheaper. As for the decoration of the spread, I kept it very simple intentionally. Since I'm fitting 2 books into one spread, I wanted a lot of room to write, obviously. Now, I know I could have just done a whole spread for each book, but I don't feel like I have enough to write for these rereads to justify an entire spread. I feel like I would have a bit of a trouble filling it. So instead, I'm just decorating it a little more minimally and then doing the title a little bit smaller than I normally would. And then I just fill it with however much text I want to. Usually I'm able to fill every spread that I make. For the spread, I used washi tapes and stickers that have been gifted to me in pen pal letters and in letters from you guys. So I don't actually know where any of these are from. I think they're really pretty though, and I wanted to have this a little bit foresty, mysterious vibe, and these stickers were perfect for that. So a lot of greens, yellows, a little bit of purple, and I think that really fit the vibe that I was going for. So I just used a little bit of washi tapes in the corners and then some stickers, and then I put some smaller stickers along the line, like the frame that I made. And on the opposite side, I'm doing the exact same thing, just placing the washi tapes a little bit differently, kind of switching places so that it doesn't look exactly the same. But I used the same stickers and pretty much set up the spread the exact same way so that they would match even though they are for different books. And the second book that I reread in November is Queen of Shadows by Sarah J. Maas. So another Sarah J. Maas book, but this is in the Throne of Glass series. I am slowly making my way through the Throne of Glass series for the second time, because after I started reading the ACOTAR books again, I thought that I would want to read the Crescent City books again because the third Crescent City book is coming out next year. But then I thought I should also reread the Throne of Glass series, and so suddenly I had like 12 books to read. So I've been making my way through the Throne of Glass series for the second time, like I said, and I actually like them more the second time I'm reading them. This is the kind of series that, for me at least, gets better and better the further into the series you get. I still feel like the first 2 and maybe even third books are a little bit of a struggle for me to get through, but then after that it gets really exciting, and I really enjoyed Queen of Shadows. The first time I read the Throne of Glass series, I didn't read Assassin's Blade, but this time I did. And this is the book, like Queen of Shadows is the book where it actually helps a lot to have read Assassin's Blade beforehand, because you do get some background information that you wouldn't have otherwise, and it kind of justifies some things that happens in Queen of Shadows that was a little bit unsure for me the first time I read the series. So I'm really happy that I read Assassin's Blade before reading Queen of Shadows. This book also has a lot of Manon in it, and Manon is like my favorite character in this series. So yeah, overall a very good read. I enjoyed it a lot, and it made me really excited for the next 3 books in the series. Now for the third and last book that I read in November, and also the final spread in this video. This one is, I don't know, I'm unsure about this one. Okay, so Fourth Wing has been very popular this year, but there's also been a lot of controversy, or like very differing opinions. And I feel like it's very popular to be critical to popular books and to find flaws in anything that is popular, to criticize people who like those books. There's just like a lot of condemnation, pretty much, like if you like this, then you're a bad person or whatever. Now, I don't feel like the criticism is that harsh for Fourth Wing, but it's interesting to see that like when it came out and over the summer, I mostly saw positive reviews for Fourth Wing. There was a lot of positives, and then Iron Flame comes out and suddenly more people really dislike Fourth Wing and think Fourth Wing is awful, and Rebecca Yarros is horrible because she doesn't know the difference between Scottish and Irish languages. To me, I kind of take these very negative reviews with a grain of salt, because in the end, whether I like the books or not is not dependent on other people's opinions. And I really enjoyed Fourth Wing, so I was very excited to read Iron Flame, and I thought that this is very unusual that the second book in the series comes out so soon after the first one, but to me, it felt like a gift because then you don't have to wait so long, you know? But I have to say that Iron Flame just didn't do it for me. And I'm not sure why, and I want to talk about it, but first let me just tell you that the washi tape or the pet tapes that I'm using here are from Notebook Therapy. It's from their lucky bag from this year. So there's a stained glass pet tape, there's a window pet tape, and then there's this one that has all of these little sparkly stickers on it. And then the purple vinyl stickers I got in a letter, so I don't know where they are from or who made them, unfortunately, but I thought the vibe was very fitting, so I put them together to create this spread. And I was really itching to use the lucky bag items because they're really pretty, and so I decided to just decorate the whole spread with those and just lots of windows. But okay, back to Iron Flame. So I really enjoyed Fourth Wing. I loved the dragons. Everyone was criticizing Rebecca Yarros for writing a main character who is like small and weak. I personally didn't really think that this was a problem because the way I read the book, she has a disability. So her bones or her joints actually don't work the way they should, and that's why she is like small and tiny and weak. So I saw it as Rebecca Yarros writing a book with a protagonist who has a disability, and you'd think that people would be happy about that because representation. I had a friend in middle school who had something similar to this, and she wouldn't attend most gym classes because of, problems with her body. Like, it could be dangerous for her. I think that this is definitely a real thing. I don't know what it's called, but it exists. So my problem with the protagonist Violet is not that. That is not an issue for me. My problem is that she is dumb. And I know that sounds really harsh, but I felt that in Fourth Wing she was quite resourceful and she didn't seem this dense. In Iron Flame, and this is going to be a spoiler, so if you don't want to know the spoiler, probably skip the next minute or two. But she likes Xaden, but then she just gets so upset at him for everything, like he can't do anything right. And she gets so upset when he's hiding stuff, even though he's definitely in a position where it's smart for him to hide stuff from her because he hasn't known her for that long and he's in a very precarious position. And she gets so annoyed with him every time he does something that he hasn't talked through with her first. And then she turns around and does the exact same thing. She goes out and does stuff without telling him, and he's super worried about her because he loves her, or that's what he says at least. And I believe it. I believe that he loves her. And I just feel like Violet needs to stop being so aggressive towards him. It just annoyed me that a lot of the book felt like we were going over the same arguments again and again, like they were having the same fights again and again, and it never got resolved, and that felt very frustrating. We'll also say that the beginning third of the book was super confusing, and that really surprised me because usually when I read a fantasy series, the second book is not as confusing as this was. Usually the world building happens in the first book, right? And that's the confusing part where you have to get into the world and learn about the magic system and learn about all these things. And it hasn't been that long since I read Fourth Wing, a couple of months. And so I felt it was frustrating that the first part of this book was so confusing. And I don't know if I'm the only one, or maybe I'm just dumb, but I felt like it was really confusing and it annoyed me a little bit. The only thing that I really liked about this book was the ending. I thought the ending was really good, and I will probably read the third book just because of the ending. So that is its redeeming factor, I suppose. But overall, not my favorite. I don't think the Fourth Wing series will be up on like my favorites list anytime soon, unless it gets better the further into the series that we get. So those are my 2 cents. Let me know what you thought about Iron Flame in the comments if you have read it as well. I know that this is a pretty new book, so a lot of you may not have read it yet. And I'm actually surprised at myself for reading a new book so soon after its release, because that doesn't happen very often for me. I can't tell you if Iron Flame is a good or a poorly written book, because I kind of judge my books based on how enjoyable they are to me, and not on whether or not they are a literary masterpiece. And so what I have been saying about Iron Flame is only like how I felt about it and how it made me feel while I was reading the book, and what I thought about the characters and about the story. And so you might have a completely different opinion, and that's fine. And I would love to hear in the comments, because I think that this is a book that is interesting to talk about, because it does seem to divide people a lot. So let me know what you thought in the comments. So yeah, that's the 3 books that I read in November, and these books are all pretty long, so I feel like this was a good reading month. I also really like the spreads that I set up in my reading journal, so you know, extra points for that. So now let's do a little flip through so that we can look through all of the spreads again. This is my last video of 2023, and I just wanted to say a big thank you to everyone who has watched my videos this year. It means a lot to me. Thank you so much to my patrons for supporting me this month and the other months of 2023. And I'm hoping for a great 2024 for both myself and for all of you guys. I hope that you've had a really nice end of the year and that your New Year's celebration will be wonderful, whatever you do. Let me know in the comments if you have a favorite book from 2023. And then I promise to also make a video about my December reads in January. So don't you worry, there will be one video for every month of 2023. And I'm excited to talk about the books that I've read in December. Leave a pine tree emoji in the comments if you watched this video all the way to the end. Be sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and click the like button on this video. And with that, all that's left to say is I hope that you're all having a lovely day, and I'll see you next year. Bye!